Buyers are often asked to pay investment bankers before they know if there's even a real market for their business. And we think that's backwards. If an advisor tells you that your company is highly attractive, that buyers will care, that strategics will pay attention, that private equity will engage, then the advisor should be able to prove this thesis out. Not with a AI generated buyer list, not with a pretty pitch deck that was probably also put together by AI, and not with just vague confidence and platitudes and flattery, but with real buyer engagement. I'm Arthur Petropoulos, managing partner and president here at Hillview Partners. We're a middle market investment bank. We've sold over $1 billion worth of companies across 100 different transactions, nationally, internationally, in every industry, and in every kind of size strata of businesses. And so, look, to be clear, there's no honest banker is going to guarantee a perfect deal, a perfect valuation, a perfect path from kind of engagement to closing. But a real bank or a legitimate investment bank should understand three things before they ask a buyer, or rather a seller, to commit. And those should be value, audience, and process. And if a banker really understands these three things, then they should be willing to effectively guarantee that there will be an audience, guarantee that there will be a, a level of interest, and as we do in our case, guarantee that there will be offers. And so, look, the traditional model of investment banking from our perspective is always that it's been a bit backwards. The processes are that they ask for an engagement retainer. Hey, pay us this big fee, and we're going to work for you for 2 years to find a potential suitor for your company. But what does that really mean? It's like a listing agreement for a house. We're going to lock you in for 2 years. There's going to be some interest, we think, and if the company sells within these next 2 years, we should be able to extract a fee from that. And that's not the way it should be, right? The way it should be is that everybody's aligned, everyone's working for the same objectives. And so long as there's value for the time, then the banker's doing their job. And if at some point they're not, or if they don't from the get-go, then there shouldn't be an engagement to begin with. And so when we say value, you have to think, what is the value of the company to the world? And this is not just, hey, we're going to take your EBITDA or pre-tax earnings and multiply it by a rate that, or a multiple that we saw from some comps or based on what we can pull from ChatGPT, right? That's the lazy version. But the real question is like, who is this company worth the most to? And so, business may be worth X dollars to a generic buyer that's just putting a multiple on it and wants to buy 10 of them and sell it up the food chain. But who's really paying for the access, for the capabilities, right? Where do the synergies come from? And when I mean synergies, it's like if someone's selling stuff to everywhere in the world except where you sell stuff, they want to buy where you sell stuff so they can have the access to the customers. If conversely, they are selling a certain thing to everyone in the world and you sell a different thing that the same customers would want, right? Whether it's a service, a product, whatever it is, they're going to want those capabilities. And the combination of those access or capabilities, or one in whatever instance it is, right? That's what's going to push value upward. And so the question is just not worth, not just what is the company worth, but who can make it worth more? Who can make it worth the most? And so crystallizing on the front end, what are those value drivers? What are the access and capability strong points of the business is a material differentiator. And so that dovetails into the second thing of who is the audience. And that's what an investment bank needs to know. And that's what should go into effectively a guarantee of offers for something, is that if there is a value in the sense of a confidence around value based on access and capabilities, then the next question is like, well, who wants those things? And so we always say, who's got the missing puzzle piece? Who needs that access? Who needs those capabilities? And we're talking to Fortune 500, Global 2000 companies and their C-suite and corp dev people every single day. And they're telling us, like, look, this is the next 10 things on our strategic mapping of the world. This is what we want. This is what we're looking for. We would much rather buy it versus build it. And that's the kind of I think the hallmark phrasing of these things is that you want someone who wants to buy instead of build, right? Because if it can accelerate their strategic plans, then it's valuable to them and they will pay a premium for it. And so we say, okay, what are the valuable things? That's value. And secondly, who are they valuable to? And that's the audience. And so the best buyer is not the easiest buyer. It's the buyer with the strongest reason to care in a situation. And so that's why you cannot just send a opportunity to a 10,000 person mailing list because 100 rabbits don't make a horse, right? You can have a bunch of tepid interest in something and a bunch of people throwing in value offers for it. But unless it's someone that really cares, unless it really solves a pain point for somebody, you're not going to get the premium. And therefore, I think that's why people will shy away from making any types of guarantees around the process. They'll say, well, we're going to put it in front of a lot of people. Someone should think it's good looking. Right? That's the wrong angle from our perspective. Right? We want to say, what are the value driving points? Who are they valuable to? And then the third pillar of any exercise is going to be the process. Like, how do you actually get it in front of them? How do you actually generate interest and extract the offers? And this is again, you can have a very passive exercise of just waiting for things. And if you have a big retainer in 24 months, and people will just wait. Hey, you know what? We've kind of highlighted why this is interesting. We've kind of highlighted a gigantic list of people. Someone's got to like it. And let's just lob it out there and kind of throw spaghetti against the wall. And if someone's interested enough, they'll find us. It doesn't work that way. If we have a business that has a particular access, a particular capability, we want to find whether it's a Fortune 500 company, whether it's Global 2000, whether it's a multi-billion dollar private equity backed portfolio company, whatever it is, we want to find the best buyers. And we want to reach out to them and say, this is interesting for your strategic plans because it accelerates your geographic growth into these markets. It accelerates your acquisition of clients in a more industrial base and a more commercial base and a more residential base, whatever angle it is, or this capability, this service, this offering, this product complements what you already sell. Hey, you sell bricks and roofing. We think you'd want aluminum and siding. Point being is in every business, there's all these little puzzle pieces that fit together. And if you understand what the missing puzzle pieces are to the larger people, then you can position it the right way. And again, now line up 100 of these conversations side by side, give them certain timelines in which they must respond, in which they must ask questions, in which they must indicate interest, in which they must put forth preliminary offers. And all of a sudden, you've got a very organized and lockstep process, right? You are separating the wheat from the chaff. And so it's not just the same thing as, process is not the same thing as just activity. It's the old John Wooden quote, like, don't mistake activity for achievement. Just flinging a bunch of stuff everywhere and hoping that people get back to you and not having timelines with everything. Yeah, it's going to make a whole lot of noise and kick up a whole lot of dust. But if everyone's not on the same path, if you're not kind of synthesizing that competitive exercise into a process that actually gets the best from everyone, then you will not get the best from everyone. And so, again, let's go through the three variables that we just discussed. You're going to have value, understanding why, what are the access and capability points that are valuable. Audience, who is this the missing puzzle piece for? And process. How do you put it in front of them and then run everyone through the same process to kind of get them to compete against each other and extract the best offers? If you can do all three of those things, you will generate results. Now, that's not an easy thing to do. That's not an easy dance. There's many different steps that go into that. And therefore, if the product of that is an offer, the only way you can guarantee an offer is if you can guarantee that you will do those three things very well. And so we do believe that, in the sense that, look, we don't guarantee fantasy outcomes, but we do believe that any company that we are bringing to market, if we can, even in the early innings of it, highlight what are the access and capabilities, who is the likely audience that's missing the puzzle piece, and can we facilitate a process to put this in front of people and systematically run them through an exercise to extract the offers. If we can do that, then we will guarantee that we will have offers. And many times that will be multiple offers. Many times that will be a broad spectrum of acquirers and running from private equity to big strategics. But we will guarantee that we will have offers. And if we can't guarantee that we will have offers, we don't take the engagement. And that's the simplest way to pursue any type of investment banking. It's too important from a client's perspective. You spend years, many times decades, building these businesses. You should not be going forward with someone that doesn't see enough I guess, crystallized value in what you're doing to guarantee that there's going to be a positive outcome. And so from our perspective, we say, no, there shouldn't be some upfront retainer where you have to throw a chunk of money at something and hope and pray and wish that over 2 years something good's going to come out of it. I mean, the way we do our engagements, and we're fully transparent about it, is a monthly fee and then a success fee. And if we don't have offers at the 100-day mark, and that's kind of our 100-day guarantee, we give the monthly fees back from the first 3 months. But guess what? It doesn't happen, because if we're not highly confident that we can get an offer or multiple offers, we're not going to bring it to the market. And because we're just not grasping enough of, what is the access or capabilities differentiator? Who is the audience with the missing puzzle piece? And what is the process, and can we facilitate a thoughtful process? Now, it doesn't mean it's not a sellable business. I'm sure there's people that, look at certain angles that we don't, but generally speaking, we are highly confident that anything we bring to market, we're going to have good results, and therefore we're willing to guarantee it. So again, no one can guarantee the perfect deal, but a real banker should be willing to put their monetary interests, if you will, on the line, that they can prove that there will be serious buyers that really care and that really will put forth offers. And look, because a bad process at the end of the day, it doesn't just waste time, or it doesn't just waste money, right? There's attention, there's confidentiality, there's, whether you've burned bridges with people that could have been good buyers, right? Like, the business of selling a business is not as wildly efficient as people think. It's not Zillow. It's not selling a single family residential house where it's like, yeah, well, if there's a buyer, they're going to find it. And whoever's going to put value on it, like, they're going to find the value. They're going to place value on it no matter what. Like, the process of selling a business can have a 2x, 3x value on something. I mean, not just value, the structure, what happens to the employees. There's a lot of different variables. And so being able to position a company correctly is pivotal to getting the right outcome. And if someone believes they can get the right outcome and believes they can position it correctly, they should be able to, and should be desirous of having interests as fully aligned as possible. And so our perspective, to ask clients for lots of money before you've proven that there's a market, is backwards. Really, what you should be doing is saying, and what we do in every situation is saying, there is a market. We know the access and capabilities that you bring to the table. We know the market and the access and capabilities that they're looking for. And we know how to facilitate a process in this particular size, industry, geography to get the right outcome. And if we don't, we should be the first ones to say it. So that's a thought for today. Real investment bankers that get real outcomes should have sufficient confidence in what they're doing to guarantee that there will be offers. And it's a hot take and people may not like it, but that's our view and that's what we're willing to stand behind. And that's our approach, if you will, to our business. I hope the week continues to go well for everyone. Keep pushing forward. God bless. And we'll see everyone next time.